I have the big challenge of explaining the mindset of the Chinese consumer. So I'm going to ask for your indulgence beforehand because this little talk is going to be filled with sweeping generalizations. And so please put your arrow back in the quiver. But the way I'd like to structure this conversation really is by first talking about what is Chinese culture, right? Then I will translate that into what is the tension in the heart that defines what motivates Chinese consumers, which defines what they want to buy and how much they're willing to pay for it. Then I will go into the 3 golden rules. And there are 3 golden rules of marketing in China that have not changed. And then I'll talk about how things have changed, particularly given the digital revolution. So first, let's talk what is Chinese culture. Can anybody here tell me what Confucian culture actually is? Confucian 儒家社会. Anybody? Not exactly. I mean, anybody else? Oh, well, you can say obedient, okay? So on one hand, there's something called the Wu Luan, the 5 key relationships that make up all ordered society between father to son, husband to wife, older, younger to younger brother, friend to friend, and rural to ruled. Without whipping up a mathematical ladder, let's just say that there's lots of rules, there's regimentations, there's restrictions, there's hierarchy. Things are not free. The individual is not the basic productive unit of society. The individual does not exist independent of his obligations and responsibility to society. But what most Westerners don't really realize when they think of Confucian culture is that it is the world's most first meritocratic culture, socially dynamic culture. By mastering convention, by internalizing the rules, you are able to crawl up a hierarchy. Now, never by rebelling, never by crossing the red line of overt rebelling, but by mastering convention, you could rise theoretically from peasant to noble through education, through skill acquisition. So what you have there is actually a tension in Confucian culture that's quite deep. And it's a tension between, on one hand, regimentation, and on the other hand, ambition, trenchant ambition. All you have to do when you go to China is look at what's happened in the past 30 years, look what's happened in Pudong, look what's happening in the 2nd-tier cities, 3rd-tier cities, 4th-tier cities, 5th-tier cities. This is a miracle of national ambition. Look at the high-speed trains networks that have just sprouted over the past several years. This is national ambition, and the individual is ambitious too. So you've got this tension between ambition and regimentation. And on an individual level, that translates into another tension that exists at the heart of all Chinese people, except for those who are struggling for survival. And that is the tension between projection of status, 表现出地位, on one hand, and on the other hand, self-protection of economic interests, because China is still not an institutionally driven society in the same way that Western democracies are, or hopefully will remain. That was a Trump joke. I apologize for that. But projection, you see projection all around you, okay? Projection is bold neon signs that thrust into the middle of the street, even if you're just selling a noodle shop. It's the 3 tallest skyscrapers in the world to say that China has arrived. It is the fact that you have apartment buildings with glorious and grand names. Now, when I was 31 years old, I was not a rich person at that point. I still am not. But I moved into Hong Kong, which is 一国两制, 无十年不变, still a part of China, into a place called Tycoon Court. And I can guarantee it, there was no court in that building, except where you took out the trash, and I was not a tycoon. In Shanghai, there's Richgate. There's the gathering of all heroes under heaven. This is all ways of projecting status and making yourself feel big. This is why Chinese people spend 40% they buy 40% of the world's luxury goods, okay, because that is projection of status. But it's also self-protection as well. It's ritualization, it's safety reassurance. The melamine scandal in 2008 means that people don't trust the ingredients or the manufacturing process. People need to bend over backwards, and brands need to bend over backwards to make sure that both socially and physically you are correct. So there is this tension between projection and protection. And that results in, so far, is that clear? Tension between projection and protection. 3 golden rules of marketing. The first golden rule of marketing is that in order to charge a price premium, you need to maximize public consumption. People are willing to pay more for goods that are consumed in public than they are in private. Take Starbucks as an example. Starbucks is the Houdini act of marketing in China. They have 3,500 stores. And guess what? The Chinese don't like coffee very much. How were they able to do this? They were doing this by changing the business model to maximize public projection of status. So the store designs were different, okay? Instead of having Howard Schultz's third space of private indulgence between home and work, you would have instead big tables where groups of professional, aspirational elite could gather together to proclaim their affiliation with new generation elite. The pricing strategy has been changed, right? Because people are not willing to pay a lot of money for food. So a cup of coffee in China, which is emblazoned with a Starbucks logo, is 30% more expensive than it is in America. But food, which is generic and not emblazoned with a logo, is 50% less expensive. The real estate strategy is different. It first starts off in premium office buildings. You take brand, okay, like for example, IKEA. IKEA, which is for goods sold in the home, did not get its price value equation right at the very beginning. It was too expensive. The Shanghai store had the highest footfall of any place, all right, in the world, but the lowest per consumer purchase because it was just too expensive and people are not willing to spend a lot of money inside the home because the home is a site of private retreat and escape. It is not for showing off, even today, although things are changing a little bit and evolving. This is not a static black and white picture. People are now paying more money for the floorboards around the front door and in the living room than they are in bedroom, all right? But back to IKEA, it wasn't until they lowered costs of goods, changed the price value equation, that they were able to start spreading into the second tier cities and the third tier cities, right? And appealing to the middle class there. Just one statistic for you, just to get this idea of projection of status and money saving at home. The average United States consumer spends $60,000 on a home improvement project. That's one home improvement project. The average Chinese person to fit out from soup to nuts, from the doorknobs to the floors to the couch, a 100 square meter new apartment pays 27,000 US dollars, right? Again, I said the luxury sales are gonna keep on booming. They're gonna keep on booming because luxury in China is a tool. It is a tool of forward advancement on the battlefield of life. So again, rule number 1, Haagen-Dazs, another example. Nobody is going to pay 60 renminbi or $8 for a half pint of ice cream and to eat premium ice cream at home in front of an illegal DVD. It's not going to happen, all right? But Haagen-Dazs changes its business model so that everything is sold in ice cream parlors. They now have 800 ice cream parlors where new generation cool people can go, a guy could impress a girl or vice versa, in a modern upscale environment. Craft beers, booming. Red wine, booming, okay? But guess what percentage of red wine is consumed in-house, in home, at the dinner table? Somebody please take a guess. 3%, all right? So people will spend a lot of money on a good bottle of red wine if it is projecting an image about them. This leads to golden rule number 2. And golden rule number 2 is that all benefits are externalized. What do I mean by that? All benefits need to be a means to an end. Life is a battlefield. There are MBA courses in China, and only in China, I am quite sure, maybe in Korea, for 5-year-olds, right? So when you go to a spa, you do not go to simply relax like we do in the West. You go to recharge your batteries. When you sell a shower gel, you don't talk about sensuous indulgence in the morning. No, you talk about a tingle that starts your day with a zip. So things need to be means to an end. When you talk about automobiles, it's not just the thrill of the ride. The automobile has to open up social circles so you can become a member of a club. So when you talk about any product, it has to be from education to water purifiers, all right? It has to be a means to an end to move you forward in life, to help you climb, to help you advance. External benefits are key. Internal benefits, ones that make you just look good, secret luxury, for example, or feel good rather, they will never take off in China, all right? And then the third golden rule of marketing, the first one is public consumption. Second one is externalization of benefit. And the third is reassurance, reassurance, reassurance. Now, reassurance doesn't have to be scary and uncool. Reassurance can be cool. If you take a look at, for example, Safeguard soap, it's for decades been the leading soap based on germ kill. And who uses Safeguard soap? The entire nation. It's got a 30% market share to protect kids from germs in the shower. But this is advertised not by doctors or clinicians, but by a boy band called the 4F or F4, I forget. Even if you take a look at the entire structure of e-commerce, it's very different than the structure of e-commerce in America. It is built on protection. It is built on making sure that transactions, virtual transactions, are 100% safe from A to Z. But also, if you take a look at how people buy, it's not mostly on an Amazon type platform. They're in huge malls owned by Alibaba, Tmall, and also Taobao. So these are brands within malls that have the support of the government and that minimize the risk of having goods that are counterfeit. How many here have heard of something called Singles Day? Okay, so what is Singles Day? Sir, I'm asking you in the blue shirt. Yeah, you. No, not exactly, though that would be a convenient thing. Singles Day it started off as a shopping holiday for the lovelorn thrown by Taobao, okay? And it used to be a minor thing. If you don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, treat yourself to something online. It has since morphed into a national declaration of consumption spending power, where you generate in 24 hours on one platform $25 billion in sales. This is not just about gratification. This is a declaration of reassurance to the entire nation, indeed the world, that China's growth model, which is shifting from investment and manufacturing to consumption and services, is indeed on track. It is a happy, streaming, celebrity-ridden celebration of national spending power, but more importantly, economic security. All right. So reassurance, both for personal face, which is why the importance of influencers rivals that of the United States by 10 times. 92% of all people will not buy a good unless it has the endorsement of a respected, credible online key opinion leader. This is, again, all about reassurance. So reassurance isn't just about quivering, it's about cool, but it's cool merging to be reassurance, right? So these three rules, these golden rules, projection of public consumption, externalization of benefit means to an end, and reassurance on both a functional and emotional level, these have been the same since I was in China. And I should, by the way, say, I should have introduced myself. I've lived in China since 1994. I was the head of a global advertising agency network in Asia Pacific, and I still go back to do consulting there at least once a month. My passion was uncovering insights in the heart, tensions, 消费者洞察，在心里的冲突. So these have remained the same. But what has changed? There have been two key things that have changed, and it has been a result of a much broader and more open world, largely enabled by technology, connectivity, all right? The first is that the definition of success in the post-90s generation versus the post-80s generation, I was born in 1978. No, I wasn't born in 1978, right? But the post-90s generation, particularly the post-95 generation, they have a much broader definition of success. It's much more multidimensional. On one hand, you don't just want to be seen as a professional success. You want to be seen as a successful role model, for your children. You want to be a father that has a new generation relationship. And also you want to be seen as a man of the world, a guy who's traveled and been there, done that. That's why you have 140 million people traveling abroad this year in China versus 30 million 10 years, given equivalent purchase power parity with Japan at the same time, twice the proportion of China travels abroad. So this multidimensional success is what people want to project. But there is, again, a struggle. On one hand, I want to do more and be more, people say. But on the other hand, I struggle to juggle it all. So brands that help maximize efficiency, for example, a dishwasher that saves time will do very well. Or even Huawei mobile phones, okay? It doesn't just talk about, for its Mate series, it's technology. It fuses technology with the ability for a father to teach his daughter empathy, all right? And I wish I could show you the commercial. The second way that things have changed is the new generation feels like there's much more opportunity out there than ever before. I call it the Great Plain. It's a great wide open plain. Before there was one ladder to the sky. Now with the connectivity, there are so many new different job opportunities out there, whether you want to be an online opinion leader, whether you want to be a live blogger, whether you want to be a gamer that makes money, whether you want to be an actor, but people don't know how, all right? There are no people to help guide them because there are no guidelines. So brands that are able to be Sherpas into this new great desert of opportunity are deeply embraced. Two quick examples, Harbin Beer. What Harbin Beer celebrates is cross-tribe mashups. So now groups are getting much smaller because interests are becoming more focused, right? So you've got, the grunge people and you've got the violinists and people want to learn about different types of tribes and people. So Harbin is an enabler. Harbin, a local beer owned by InBev, though, is bringing different mixes together, right? So people can learn and become, again, more worldly. Because in China, the greatest worldview, 最大, okay, 的有识是一个宽大的世界观, is a broad worldview. So any brand that can help the youth guide its way through uncertainty, give them a freedom within a framework, regardless of whether this is from user-generated content or giving them the courage and the tools to pursue their passions, will be embraced. So it has been 19 minutes and 9 seconds, and I have started off by talking about Chinese culture being a Confucian culture which has a tension at the core of it between ambition and regimentation, and on a personal level that translate into a tension of projection and protection. That translates into 3 golden rules of marketing. 1, maximization of public consumption to charge a price premium, externalization of benefit for a means to an end, and 3, reassurance. And finally, the 2 changes that are happening as a result of connectivity, a much more multidimensional definition of success, and number 1, and number 2, a new generation that is titillated but scared by new options that they have before them. So brands that are partners in resolving these tensions, people are willing to be loyal to, and they are willing to pay a price premium for. Thank you very much.